and soon to be Republicans. Great news, new press briefing. Apparently there was a murder in Congress today where Karoline Leavitt, the press secretary, murdered reporters on the dance floor. I don't know what happened. I didn't see any clips of it. It just took place. This just ended. So let's dive in, baby. I'm excited to see. Hell yeah. I'm sure they're gonna ask him about. I'm sure they're gonna ask her about the alleged war plans leak and shit like that. But all I know is I want to see some journalist heads roll. So if you like giant Trump W's, this is basically where she goes up. She does a little talk about every Trump W of the last week. Very excited to see them not ask about the price of eggs because, oh my god, the price of eggs are at an all-time low for the last 6 months. Crazy how that happened.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you all. Since Inauguration Day, President Trump has secured trillions of dollars in private and foreign investments.
That is a good thing. Weird how I don't hear any of the media ever talk about this.
Every single day, more money is pouring into our country, which will create more jobs for hardworking Americans.
In case you're curious, just recently, I don't know, I think it was Thailand. Thailand canceled all their tariffs to America because they don't want to deal with Trump's reciprocal tariffs. Thailand tariffs. Not trying to spread false info here, so I'm trying to find the true thing. But apparently, they're putting, Trump is putting reciprocal tariffs on different countries. Apparently, Thailand didn't want to deal with it, and they just canceled all of their tariffs against the United States that were, like, in place for years. Maybe it's not Thailand, maybe it's someone else. But the point is, gotta love it. Gotta love it. I think this is a huge dub. Honestly, this is a massive dub. Like, as it stands, India was charging America 9.5% tariffs, and the United States was charging 3% tariffs. Thailand 6.2% versus America's tariffs on Thailand, 0.9%. Like, in my opinion, this is incredibly based. Like, just wildly, incredibly based shit.
Today, Schneider Electric pledged to invest more than $700 million in the United States to boost American energy infrastructure and AI.
That's a good thing. You know why all these people are doing shit in America, right? Like, you do know why all these companies are suddenly entering America, right? Like, we are aware of this. It's because they don't want to deal with Trump's tariffs. So they're actually making jobs in America instead. I know it sounds stupid, but it's almost like the business strategy actually worked. I'll be completely real here. I'll be honest, and I don't mean to be rude. I was anti-tariffs before this entire thing. I haven't been shy about saying that I thought tariffs were a bad idea, especially in the short term, unless they were used as bargaining chips. Every time I used them as a bargaining chip, I was super happy. But realistically, bro's been cooking. He promised jobs flooding into America, and yeah, that's exactly what happened. And by the way, for the record, in case you're curious, Vietnam to cut tariffs on American products to avoid President Trump's reciprocal tariffs. This is a thing that happened. This was posted 14 hours ago. Yes, this is a thing that actually happened. It was, in fact, Vietnam. But yes, turns out, tariffs, kind of a crazy move.
Hyundai announced a $20 billion investment in the United States, including $5.8 billion for a new steel plant in Louisiana, which will create nearly 1,500 high-paying jobs. President Trump is truly turning America back into a manufacturing superpower.
And everyone's like crying, but America used to be looked up to by the people in Europe, and now the people in Europe aren't looking up to America anymore. Let me be honest. I way prefer a strong, financially secure country, all right, with freedom and people that are taken care of, as well as a manufacturing superpower. I prefer that to this random bullshit social virtue signaling, emotional blackmailing fucking trash fire that America was 4 years ago. Realistically, I completely would rather Europe not view America as the leader, but America actually being the leader, than this fucking bullshit crap, fringe social justice shit.
Yesterday,
the world is just upset that America is growing a spine. And I think that it's important to call it for what it is.
President Trump marked National Medal of Honor Day by meeting with 21 of our nation's bravest heroes and incredible patriots who have been awarded the highest military honor. Beautiful picture. The president also signed a historic executive order to protect the integrity of American elections by...
Oh my God, unfathomably based! Unfathomably based.
Strengthening voter citizenship verification and banning foreign nationals from interfering in U.S. elections.
Unbelievably based. And I have to say, this is another one of those things that should be a 90-10 issue that the Democrats are literally shooting themselves in the foot for. Every single time I hear the Democrats arguing on behalf of no voter ID, I am telling you, I literally hear like the wild retard appeared Pokemon theme song. That's how little sense it makes. It is a completely indefensible position. I had this pulled up because I knew that they were going to get to this. This is how out of control California is. There are 449,000 registered voters that couldn't perform jury duty because they weren't citizens, but they are registered voters. 500,000 of them. No federal aid without voter ID. I completely agree. And the only people that are disagreeing with this are the people that are trying to steal elections. There's no other possible fucking explanation for this to be okay. There is no possible reason why this should be accepted. Why you can have 500,000 voters that aren't citizens suspiciously registered vote. These are just the registered voters. I'm not even talking about the not registered voters. And they lost the popular vote. Dude. When Trump rolls in and he's like, all 7 swing states, popular vote. Even all the illegals that voted for me couldn't tip the scales. Like, he's just completely right. Oh my God. Like, this is legitimately a scam, and there's no possible other way to explain it. They are flooding in illegal immigrants that also they're letting vote. It sounds to me like they're stealing a country. That's what it sounds to me. So every time I hear people talking about how Trump's a fascist, he's orange, he's a retard, all 7 swing states. Whenever you see people upset at Trump for shit and calling him a fascist and doing things that are against certain laws and shit, you have to recognize something. The fascists are the guys that are stealing a country because they are importing illegal immigrants, millions of illegal immigrants, and making sure you don't have to show voter ID. Not only that, but in certain places in America, it is illegal to ask for ID. Not only is ID not a requirement, it is illegal to even request ID. So imagine that. Imagine importing illegals, not allowed to check for ID. That is literally just a strategy to steal the fucking country. Too big to rig, that's what I always say. And to be honest, this, it smells like poo, it tastes like poo, it looks like poo, and to be honest, it is poo. That is it. There is no possible fathomable explanation for this yet. No one is gonna say any of this shit. Suspiciously enough, the Democrats don't talk about it. Let's talk about fighting the oligarchy. The oligarchy is very dangerous, not the fact that the elections are being rigged by politicians bringing in drugs across the border to vote for us corrupt pieces of shit. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Shout out to the Democrats. They managed to lose another 80-20 issue. And in that 20, on that 20 side, 10% of those 20, 10 of those 20 are illegal immigrants. All right? It's an 80-20 issue, but half of the 20 are illegally in the country.
These are the common sense solutions that only Democrats could
They literally are.
oppose.
I really feel like this is why the Democrats keep fucking themselves. This is literally why they keep fucking themselves. Because realistically, there is no other way to possibly accept this. This is so utterly indefensible. There is no way. There is absolutely no way that they could ever do anything to argue for this point. I think this is worse than the trans people in female sports. I'll be honest. I know that's an incredibly hot take. I think trans people in female sports is abysmal, but at least it's only hurting women instead of this, which is literally hurting men and women. So I would argue that this is even worse. At least it's only women. What the fuck? Oh, breaking news. Someone in my chat just shared with me. Wyoming is the first state in the country to require proof of citizenship for all elections, which is like, again, it's retarded that this is like a dub. It's retarded that this is even a dub. This is so not a, this is like basic bitch shit. There's no reason why this is even debatable. Anyway.
But voters deserve elections they can trust, and critical confidence is being restored thanks to President Trump's leadership.
All true. Literally right. And then you're going to have the people on the left. It's unconstitutional. There's a judge who's an illegal immigrant that's very against this. This illegal immigrant judge was appointed by Obunga. It's true. It's important.
Later this afternoon in the East Room, President Trump will mark Women's History Month by honoring the exceptional women around our country.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Women's. Shout out to women. All women. We love all of them. No matter what. If you're a woman, shout out to you. Unless you're Rosie O'Donnell. All right, I did my part as a women lover in this country.
Including the highly talented women in his administration and his cabinet. And on an additional scheduling update, the president will hold a press conference in the Oval Office today at 4:00 p.m. to announce tariffs on the auto industry. And I will leave that to him to make that announcement later.
All right.
Unfortunately, all of this good is happening for our country. This administration is working hard on behalf of the American public every day, but the mainstream media continues to be focused on a sensationalized story from the failing Atlantic magazine.
Ooh, we are talking about the thing. We're talking about the alleged war leak. I covered this.
That is falling apart by the hour.
Nice. Love
Here
that.
are the facts. The National Security Advisor has taken responsibility for this matter.
Okay.
And the National Security Council...
All right, so I'll just give you a rundown of what happened because she's not actually covering it super briefly. Apparently, there was a group chat talking about how they bombed the Houthi terrorists in Yemen. Fuck all of them and their mothers, especially. Hey, that was a joke. That was a joke. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. Literally, bomb the fuck out of them, please, sir. Please, Mr. President, continue doing that exact thing that you were doing. But anyway, that's a very hot take. I know people on Twitch especially very much hate the idea that I actually support bombing terrorists that are bombing innocent people. But in my opinion, those people are retards. We're not going to name names here, but it seems like Luffy is no longer in One Piece. And now, the point is that I'm trying to make, apparently there was this group chat. There was a group chat in Minecraft. No, in real life, in Yemen. Not in Minecraft. Chat's trying to protect me with in Minecraft. Not in Minecraft. In Yemen. Bomb the fuck out of him, Mr. President. Anyway, I'm gonna get banned for like calls to violence or some shit. I am not calling for violence. I am calling for the president to do what he thinks is appropriate for the country or something. But anyway, so apparently there was this big group chat where they talked about bombing Yemen, and they ended up adding a journalist to this group chat. In my opinion, an unacceptable thing that has been done. But what ended up very sensationalized is that war plans leak wasn't really war plans. It was more just kind of a bunch of the boys sitting in there talking, woo, we did it, guys. Woo, hell yeah, bomb those motherfuckers. Stop bombing our ships or we'll bomb you back. Woo, hell yeah, dog. And that was a lot more of what the actual conversation actually was.
Immediately said, alongside the White House counsel's office, that they are looking into how a reporter's number was inadvertently added to this messaging thread. We have said all along that no classified material was sent on this messaging thread. There were no locations, no sources, or methods revealed, and there were certainly no war plans discussed.
Yeah, so anyway, incredibly over-sensationalized fucking journalist. So I actually looked up the journalist Jeffrey Goldberg. I actually looked that guy up. Apparently he's published a bunch of hoaxes in the past too. Like, he is known for his anti-Trump hoaxes. Like, multiple hoaxes. The moment I saw that, I was like, all right, we need to see more context. Need to see context. What's the context? Why is this happening? We gotta know. But yeah, anywho, turns out not exactly war plans as much as just discussions, but I do think still, whoever added him needs to take responsibility big time.
The Atlantic,
right, he did the Russia shit for sure,
has even admitted this themselves.
They changed the title of the article. There is no way. Is she gonna say that?
Their release of these internal messages validates the truth, which we have been saying all along. If this story proves anything, it proves that Democrats and their propagandists in the mainstream media...
Yeah, but the funniest thing is, it's like, I don't want to say it proves that... I mean, she's going to be much nicer about it, in my opinion. She's absolutely going to be nicer about it. But to be honest, to be real and based and honest, the Democrats didn't care about this when Hillary deleted 33,000 emails. For me, that's the wildest part. The wildest part is that, they didn't care about this when other people did it. They only care about now because it's Trump that did it. Yeah, they did change the name. Here are the attack plans that Trump's advisors shared on Signal. They renamed the article instead of war plans. Another hoax! Yet another hoax! But anyway, it's not like anyone reads The Atlantic, so it's not like anyone's gonna see that shit. People watch my videos instead of reading The Atlantic. Subscribe if you think that hoaxes are stupid, but also fun to make fun of.
Know how to fabricate, orchestrate, and disseminate a misinformation campaign quite well. And there's arguably no one in the media who loves manufacturing and pushing hoaxes more than Jeffrey Goldberg. Goldberg is an anti-Trump hater. He is a registered Democrat. Goldberg...
When she said registered, I was about to fall off my chair. I thought he was going to say, Goldberg is a registered Democrat, a registered sex offender, a piece of shit. He funds transgender mouse surgery. Like, I thought she was gonna go crazy.
His wife is also a registered Democrat and a big Democrat donor who used to work under who? Hillary Clinton.
There is no way. There is no way. I said Hillary Clinton as a joke because she's like known for destroying 33,000 emails, making a bonfire with documents and shit. They worked for her, and they're using this as an attack on Trump. Oh my God, that's incredible. Holy crap, the hypocrisy is like literally out the wazoo, dog.
This is the same Jeffrey Goldberg who infamously lied about weapons of mass destruction to get us into the Iraq War, which cost trillions of dollars and thousands of American soldiers. And how else has Goldberg discredited himself? By absurdly claiming that President Trump was Vladimir Putin during the 2016 campaign.
What?
By peddling the Russia hoax that tried to hijack President Trump's first term.
Ow.
By inventing the suckers
this guy's impressive. This guy's a whole ass other level of propaganda. God damn.
and losers hoax to help Joe Biden in the 2020 election. By peddling a hoax about President Trump involving Gold Star families to help Kamala Harris in the 2024 election.
Wait, so this guy's known for an entire history of making up hoaxes against Trump every single time there was someone going up against Trump. Like, why does this person even still have a position in the media? Like, for real.
Which our campaign at the time vigorously denied. Jeffrey Goldberg didn't care. There's more, but we don't have all day, and we can now add this signal hoax to this very long list. The real story here is the overwhelming success of President Trump's decisive military action against Houthi terrorists.
True! They eliminated the leader of the Houthis.
On March 15th, President Trump ordered a series of military operations against the terrorist Houthis to defend U.S. shipping assets in the Red Sea, restore freedom of navigation for international shipping, and defend the United States from enemy threats. United States forces successfully struck dozens of targets across Houthi-controlled territory.
Speaking of the Houthis, in case you're curious, these assholes, so this is a post from 2 hours ago. These were where sirens sounded off because missiles were flying in from Yemen, from the Houthis, into just random civilian territories. Like, this is just Jerusalem. In case you're curious, Jerusalem is like half Arab as well. It's not like they're just targeting Jews. I know that would make it better for Hassan. But just in case you're curious, this was 2 hours ago. Okay? This is what the Houthis are fucking vile pieces of shit. I have zero mercy for them. Like, for real. And then you got these unbelievably brainwashed, brain-dead motherfuckers on Twitch supporting them.
And as a result of these actions, several Houthi leaders were killed, including the Houthi drone chief, his deputy, and several of their drone experts and other
Get him out! Bye!
We also destroyed command and controlled facilities, weapons manufacturing facilities, and advanced weapons storage locations. And it's important to remember why this powerful action took place in the first place. Because of Joe Biden's incompetence and pathetic weakness on the world stage for years.
She's right.
The Houthi terrorists grew emboldened.
She's completely right. They bomb civilians, they bomb Israeli civilians, they bomb American civilians, they bomb American ships, they stop all of Americans' trade through the Red Sea. Like, get them the fuck out. Literally. I don't, this is not debatable. I don't know why this is even remotely debatable. I mean, I guess if you're a terrorist supporter like Hamas Piker on Twitch, maybe then it's debatable. But for real, this is not a debatable thing. And I know people say, Nux, I can't believe you're taking a stand, you're calling to violence. Sorry, I just don't have pussy in my mouth. That sounded wrong. As while I'm speaking, I mean.
Immediately after taking office in 2021, Joe Biden removed the Iran-backed Houthis from the foreign terrorist organization and specifically designated global terrorist list.
The fact that Biden removed them from the terrorist list goes to show how incompetent that guy actually was. Dude was a living Muppet. Barely living, but living Muppet. Remove them from the terrorist list? They've been bombing civilians constantly, daily.
Did anybody in this room ask the Biden administration at the time why they made such a stupid mistake? This reckless...
No one did. You know who didn't? The journalists, because the journalists are fucking retarded. Welcome to the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's bought and paid for by the Democrats. Obviously, they're not going to question him like that.
Action undid the...
Besides, when did he even answer hard questions ever?
...designation put in place by President Trump during his first term, and what followed was predictable and devastating. The Houthis targeted U.S. military ships and aircraft, hit commercial ships, including U.S. flagged vessels, threatened our personnel overseas and attacked our allies in the region. This resulted in more than a year of U.S. flagged commercial ships being prevented from safely sailing through the Suez Canal, the Red Sea, and the Gulf of Aden. This had a massive negative impact.
It's crazy. How are we even considering this? I love how she's explaining why the Houthis are terrorists, because for some reason people on the left don't like acknowledging that fact. I mean, look at Hassan. Not only does Hassan support Houthis openly and interview Houthis openly, but like somehow the mega left thinks the Houthis are the good guys. They're not the good guys. Bomb the ever-living fuck out of them. Why is this even a question?
Impact on global trade of the economic security of the United States. Joe Biden was the commander-in-chief, and he sat on his hands while the United States of America was bullied and embarrassed by terrorists. President Trump and his team are putting a stop to these threats in restoring American strength around the world.
Do you know what? Let me ask you a stupid question. Do you know what happens? Again, I don't want to be rude here. I'm just asking the questions. What do you think terrorists do if you don't bomb them after they bomb you? Dumb question. What do you think they're gonna do? Think they're gonna stop? They're not gonna stop! They're gonna keep bombing you! You end it immediately! Immediately! It starts, you hit them back with so much fucking force that they'll never want to do that shit again. Miss me with that. They are oppressive. They use child soldiers. Like, what are we talking about?
The Trump peace through strength approach means no terrorist force will stop.
But there's collateral damage, and I am so sorry for the collateral damage, and I'm sorry for every innocent person that gets bombed. But unfortunately, collateral damage is a reality of life, and you can't let your people die because you care so much about the people that terrorists are using as human shields. I'm sorry, that's another form of emotional blackmail.
Stop American commercial and naval vessels from freely sailing the waterways of the world. But unfortunately, this is not what the Democrats and the media want to talk about.
Nope.
They are focused on...
Nope. I don't hear the fucking media even talk about this shit. Literally. I don't hear them talk about anything about this.
Coordinated campaign.
And in case you were curious, this is that Houthi, right? That Hassan is friends with. This is the Houthi that Hassan was friends with, this Rashid al-Haddad. Watch my account carefully, Hassan. I will post something for you in the next few hours, right? This is him as Luffy and Hassan as Zoro. Do you notice something interesting here? You notice something interesting? What does it say here? What's this? Member of what? H-A-S. What's this? This is Hassan Twitter. He is a member of Hassan's Twitter community. This is a Houthi terrorist. This is a Houthi terrorist, bro. That is on a part of Hassan's Twitter community. This is not an old post. This was posted today. Bro, are we on the same page? I'm glad we're on the same page. You're not, like, it's unbelievable that you even have to deal with this. All right, so in case you were curious, this over here is a post where someone asks him on TikTok, are you a soldier? And his response is, yes. All right, he admits he is a Houthi terrorist. In case you were curious, this is another tweet he made. The execution that we will carry out on all Zionists. Showing a naked guy with a pike, impaling him through his ass.
Okay, this is a stupid question. Okay, you can preface
and this is what happens when Hassan interviews him.
With that, does he know what One Piece is?
One Piece, like, is that an organization?
No, One Piece is an anime.
Oh, okay. أول شيء بقول لك إنه ممكن هذا السؤال يكون شوي شو هو One Piece. عمرك سمعت ب One Piece؟
أكيد يعني من الطفولة وأنا أشاهد One Piece. لوفي.
Luffy?
Yeah, he said he's been watching it since he was a kid.
No way!
Yeah.
That's Hassan interviewing a terrorist.
Yes.
Yes, says Hassan after fucking Houthi terrorist posts a picture of a Jew on a pike. Anyway, I'm just saying, there is a weird double standard in the world right now, and I think that America really needs to crack down on the whole fucking, terrorist supporting shit. It's insane. It is mind-boggling that on a gaming platform for 13-year-olds, one of the biggest streamers is out there directly shoving terrorist propaganda down people's throats. It's unbelievable.
To try and sow chaos in this White House. And this has been the most successful first 2 months of any administration ever, which is exactly why they are doing this. We are not going to bend in the face of this insincere outrage. And here's just one example of how bad faith the Democrats' criticisms are. Democrat Senator Mark Warner is hysterical over the use of Signal which is an approved decrypted app, in the killing of Houthi terrorists. But Senator Warner himself used Signal to work with a lobbyist for a Russian oligarch to connect the disgraced Steele dossier author who started the Russia hoax.
There is no way! There is no way this is real life. There is no way this is real life. The guy that calls out, the senator guy that calls out the Trump administration for using Signal was using Signal contacting Russian oligarchs. What about the oligarchy? I thought only Trump was the oligarchy. Yeah, well, holy shit. Dude, this is actual retardation speedrun. Democrats truly a level of fucked we've never seen before.
Which Jeffrey Goldberg later reported on. How ironic. We're not going to lose focus of the bottom line, which is that Joe Biden's weakness enabled and emboldened Houthi terrorists, and President Trump's strength and resolve eliminated those terrorists. Here in our new media seat.
In case you were curious, the judge that tried halting the deportation flight, that Judge Boasberg guy, he is the judge assigned to the Signal case. To show you how many layers of corruptness you need. Like, I don't know, man. Who makes these rules? Like, what is even going on? I feel like none of this shit is remotely true. So, Signal is that group chat that they were on. So, obviously, this is going to court because apparently it's a discussion whether, there were actual leaks and shit. So, if you look at what's going on with this court case over the Signal thing, Judge Boasberg, the activist judge that is blocking Trump from deporting violent gang member terrorist rapists, intentionally delayed the release of Hillary Clinton's emails also until after the 2016 election, is now coincidentally presiding over the Signal case. Guys, when are we gonna wake up and recognize that America is rigged? When are we gonna wake up and realize, yeah, this is all rigged? Government rigged. This is bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Today we have Lindsay Keith. She is the managing editor for Merit TV and serves as their White House correspondent. Merit TV launched 1 year ago and creates and distributes content across diverse platforms. We're glad to have you with us, Lindsay. Please kick us off.
All right.
I appreciate it and this opportunity for Merit TV. 2 questions, if I may.
All right. So that was a powerful opening statement. I basically completely agree with almost everything that she says. I still do think that there is one major issue, and that the fact that someone did add a reporter onto a chat, even if the chat didn't leak anything mega controversial, it should have been, I think, handled with more secrecy. I think it definitely, I would definitely say that there was an L there on the Trump administration side of things when Mike Waltz, or whatever it is, he's the guy that invited the fucking journalist. But you cannot possibly compare that to the amount of bullshit that's been going on the other side at this point in time. The fact that people are more focused on a journalist entering a Signal chat that didn't actually leak anything too dangerous, instead of focusing on the fact that terrorists are getting obliterated and they're silently somehow supporting these terrorists. At the same time, they appoint a judge who silenced the Hillary Clinton email thing. Like, what are we even talking about, man?
One on Signal, one on the economy.
Sure.
On Signal, how comfortable is the president with what was shared so far now that the chain has been released?
The president's view on all of this remains the same today as it did yesterday.
Okay.
And I think it speaks volumes about the leadership of this president that he went directly to all of you, members of the press corps. He was asked, do you want someone else to go out and do a briefing? And he said no.
Honestly, incredibly true. Wildly true. The fact that Trump addressed this shit head on instead of just pawned it off to someone else is gigantic ball maneuver. Holy crap.
I will tackle this story. I will discuss it. The people need to hear from me about the situation, and so his thoughts on...
People are just so mad at Trump because he actually looks like a leader. I'll be honest. I really think that's what it comes down to. America is so not used to having a president that looks like a leader ever since Biden was just a muppet for the shadow government. I think like your classic Americans are so not used to actually having a leader. Half the country is thrilled about it, and half the people are like, we didn't want a king. We didn't want a king. We wanted to overthrow kings. We don't want kings. He's not a fucking king. They're just so not used to actually being a leader in the country. A leader that, by the way, was democratically elected. All 7 swing states. All the majority. All the swing states. Every county. Giant penis. It's so big, not like Biden's. His penis was so small. He needed to get his assistants to hold his penis for him, just like they signed with the auto pen.
On this remained the same today. He has placed great trust in his national security team. And as for the usage of Signal, as the president said yesterday, as the CIA director has testified under oath, this is an approved app. It's an encrypted app. The Department of Defense, the Department of State, the CIA has it loaded onto government phones because it is the most secure and efficient way to communicate. As for, again, the original situation in this messaging thread, the National Security Council, the White House counsel's office continues to look in to how this mistake, which the National Security Advisor has owned, occurred, and the president has ensured they are doing that.
The economy, consumer confidence hit a 4-year low this month. Can you help explain to the American people how tariffs will help them in the long run?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to question. The American public will hear later this afternoon from the president directly on the topic of tariffs. And as you all know, April 2nd day, President Trump has proudly dubbed it Liberation Day for our country. What he means by that is it will be a day where the United...
I love when Trump just goes out and names things, man. People get so bent out of shape. Names are names, all right? Let's stop making believe this is like such a big thing. And Trump came out, he renamed all of the stuff. Hell yeah.
The United States of America will no longer be ripped off by nations around this world. It will be a day where Americans finally see free and fair...
We are renaming Dumbledore in the Harry Potter books to Trumpledore. Don't ask questions. That's what we're doing. His beard will be orange in the new release.
Trade practices restored. We are no longer going to allow our allies, our competitors, and our adversaries to take advantage of American workers.
Based. Just based. Yes, reciprocal tariffs are fucking awesome. Hell yeah, all the way, literally. America needs to stop being the world's piggy bank. They are not the world's piggy bank. They are not the world's best friend. No, no, no. They are, first and foremost, there for Americans. And if you don't like it, you could lump it, digest it, and dump it. We are renaming Canada as Gay Dakota.
And if you think about your hometown in the state that you grew up, Main Street looks a lot different today than it did many years ago. And President Trump wants to restore America as a manufacturing superpower around the globe. He wants products to be made right here in our great...
How do you want America to impact the rest of the world? As a actual superpower in democracy? As a superpower of a democratic country that doesn't give a fuck about what emotional blackmail other people are saying about them, fighting for the good of their citizens and for basic common sense shit that isn't directly destroying an antithesis to basic life? Or do you want America to virtue signal harder than anyone else on the planet and be respected by the other nations that are slowly committing suicidal empathy? Let's be real, bro. Let's be honest. What would you prefer? Because those are the options. That's what the Democrats want to do. That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to virtue signal and woke their way too close to the sun.
Country with great hardworking American hands that will ultimately result in higher wages and more money in the pockets of the American people. And he's also, in addition to tariffs, also determined to pass tax cuts later this year, as he did successfully in his first term.
Oh my God. Tax cuts are huge, and then you're gonna have the fucking Bernie Sanders people, but the tax cuts are helping the rich people more than the poor people. With all due respect, Mr. fucking retard, sir, no, tax cuts help everybody based on the amount of money they make. Poor people don't make money, they don't pay as much taxes, the tax cuts aren't as helpful. That's just basic shit. Is it a net positive for everyone in the world? Yes! Yes, it is. Like, let's not all be idiots together, sir.
To put even more money back into the pockets of hardworking Americans. Peter.
Karoline, if I can ask you very quickly about the information we've seen, just to set the predicate to all this. Has the president been briefed and physically seen he's seen all the details of the chat as printed by the Atlantic?
I just spoke to the president about it, yes.
Then let me ask you if I can very quickly. In the chat, Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, detailed F-18s, Tomahawks, so some of the weapons that were used. He details the timing involved for this, all of which occurred 31 minutes before, as he says, F-18s would launch. The DOD manual details classified information as significant military plans, saying that is secret.
They just latch on to one thing, and that's the only thing they'll talk about. Like, it must be so, like, unbelievably, inconsolably depressing to need to talk to the fucking press, you know? Like, imagine talking to the press. You're talking about all sorts of unbelievable things that the country is going through, and everyone just yaps about the same thing. This Signal chat is just the new DOGE. Like, come on, guys.
That's classified. So what about, there are no methods, there are no sources, but that's not what is determines what's classified. So what is it about what Pete Hegseth wrote that makes you say this is not classified?
Well, it's not just me saying that, Peter. It's the Secretary of Defense himself who is saying this as well. And he put out a very strong statement earlier today listing all of the things that were not included in that message that he sent to the group. And again, this message, there was no classified information transmitted. There were no war plans discussed.
Which is why the Atlantic changed the name of their article, by the way, because Trump would have sued their fucking panties off.
Did the Atlantic downgrade their allegation about war plans to attack plans? They're now playing word games because they know this was sensationalist spin from a reporter who is well known for doing this. We have said all along no war plans were discussed, no classified material was sent. You have the Secretary of Defense saying that. You have the Director of the CIA, the Director of National Intelligence, the FBI Director.
All right, dude. Literally every single... The National Defense Director, the CIA Director, the FBI Director. Everyone says it's not a problem. The Atlantic even changed the name of their fucking article because holy shit, it's actually not war plans. Why are you still yapping? Because we wanted to yap more.
All testifying to that under oath, and they should be trusted with that.
To be clear, Americans can make the decision for themselves, but whether is the...
What? Americans can make the decision for themselves whether what? Whether they're classified or not?
You said it's not war plans. Would you characterize these as military plans, military operation plans?
What is going on, man? Why don't these people care about the Hillary emails?
I would characterize this messaging thread as a policy discussion, a sensitive policy discussion, surely, amongst high-level cabinet officials and senior staff. And I'm so glad, Peter, that you said the American public can decide for them.
True. The American public can decide whatever they saw. The problem is, though, dude, I have to show you this clip. This is going to be so relevant in just a second. This is going to be worth it. I promise this is going to be worth it. I promise. I promise it's going to be worth it.
Because democracy basically means...
Right. What is democracy? Please, wise man.
Government by the people, of the people, for the people.
Right.
But the people are retarded.
True! Literally true! To quote the wise Indian man, but the people are retarded. So if you have literally everyone saying in the government and in the FBI and the CIA and the defense secretary, everyone goes there and everyone sits together and they all say, nope, there was no classified information. Yes, you know, I'm going to tell you something. All the Democrats are all going to say that it was war plans. All the Republicans are going to say it wasn't war plans. And that's why, fuck you, they're all retarded. Move on with life. I personally think it was sensitive, and I think the leak does show a security flaw. And I do think absolutely that they should have done better steps to stop that shit. But guys, this is not fucking nuclear war plans that are released that's going to cause Iran to start striking American troops. Okay? Like, could we please get past this? Not to mention the over-exaggeration of all of that shit.
Themselves, because I think the American public should decide for themselves based on the outcome of this operation. And what happened in this...
Which was a success.
Operation, terrorists that were allowed to run wild by the Biden administration were killed because of the direction and the determination of this president and his team.
Completely true. Ultimately, the results were a complete success. And I think that anyone that's not going to mention that is, in my opinion, with all due respect, in my opinion, anyone that's not recognizing that ultimately this was a huge success and a big Trump administration, all in all, I think they are literally audience captured. They are brain rotted. They are living in their own little bubble of how can we stick it to Trump this time, guys? How can we stick it to Trump this time? That's what we're dealing with.
And this message also shows, this messaging thread also proved that President Trump has an incredibly dynamic team who is working incredibly hard, flying all over the world to secure world peace and to fix up the foreign policy crises that the previous administration left for this team to inherit.
So to be clear, we all in this room and around the country would agree that we're glad no American service members were harmed and we're glad that the mission was a success. We'll stipulate that. But the president said that Pete Hegseth said...
Why is this fucking reporter debating? This isn't a debate. This is a press briefing. You're allowed to ask questions. Why is this a debate? We'll stipulate that the American people are happy that it was a success. But, do you wipe your ass with 1-ply toilet paper or 2?
None of this was classified. So given the president has seen it now, and given the president understands that significant military plans are deemed classified as secret, how does the president view none of this, which details times, and weapons and more as being not classified.
I mean, in my opinion, it's a huge L. But again, why are you still repeating this?
I've already been asked and answered this question. The president's thoughts on this remain the same today as they were yesterday, as well as the Secretary of Defense. This question has been asked and answered. There was no classified material discussed.
On what basis I was asking?
Go ahead.
On what basis? On what basis? On what basis? On what... Let's be real here for a second. What's the point of this question? It's because another retard wants to join the flock. That's the point of the question. It's not to fix society. It's not to get more information to the American people. It's for the gotcha. That's what it's for. Nothing more, nothing less. You have to recognize the intention of the retard when properly tracking them. See, I'm something of a retard hunter myself. I hunt retards daily. Definitely subscribe for more retard hunting. This is absolutely a classic example of retard hunting. And that is exactly what went down. That's what happened. It's retard hunting. And we found another one. Now, you have to understand the motivation of the retard. The retard thought if you get away with this exactly because they thought they had something here, but they didn't realize there was no purpose for this level of retardation aside from Orange Man bad. Now that we have dissected the retard, we can move on to other retards. I feel like I'm gonna be David Attenborough for National Geographic Retards.
Thank you, Karoline. So, why aren't launch times on a mission strike?
Oh my God! Can you ask other questions?
Again, I would defer you to the Secretary of Defense's statement he put out this morning. There were various reasons he listed, things that were not included in that messaging thread that were not classified. And again, going back to the American public, do you trust the Secretary of Defense, who was nominated for this role, voted by the United States Senate into this role, who has served in combat, honorably served our nation in uniform? Or do you trust Jeffrey Goldberg, who is a registered Democrat and an anti-Trump sensationalist reporter?
Yep.
This president and this national security team are putting our national security and the American people first. We are restoring American strength around the world, and the results of this operation speak for themselves.
Putting aside Jeffrey Goldberg, though, just for,
Oh
for
my
American
God!
service members who are going to have to carry out these missions in the future, what, I guess the message that's coming from the response to all this that we're here.
She doesn't even know what to say because, like, what are you gonna say? Try not to leak shit in the future? I guess that's what they're gonna say.
Is that, nothing sensitive happened. And I guess the logical conclusion of that is...
I think registered Democrat is gonna be the new R word. Now that we've reclaimed retard for the people, I think registered Democrat is the next R word. What do you think, guys?
Is that if these messages had gone out publicly prior to the launch, that wouldn't have been a risk to service members. I don't know that they're comfortable with that.
But it didn't happen, which is great.
Can you explain, had these messages been published,
They weren't.
plans have moved forward? Would the launch have still taken off?
How the fuck is she supposed to know? If they would have added Hassan Piker, Houthi supporter extraordinaire, to the group chat instead, and it turns out that Hassan warned his friends at the Houthis that there was going to be a launch at a specific time, would they have not launched at that time now that Hassan did that? How does she know? She's a press secretary. She's not a fucking warmonger. She's not in the war council. She wasn't in the war group chat. What does she know? With all due respect, does Donald Trump use Nair butthole trimmers to get rid of the little hair down there? Or does he like it like all forest-like and raw? Why are you asking?
What I can tell you is that the President, as the Commander-in-Chief of our United States Armed Forces, and Secretary Pete Hegseth, who is an incredible man and a warfighter himself, take the lives of our American service members with the utmost responsibility, and they would never do anything intentionally to put their lives at risk. And again, they are working hard on that every single day, and we are protecting our service members while also restoring peace throughout this globe. It's something the previous administration has not done, and I would just add one more point. We are not going to be lectured about national security and American troops by Democrats and the mainstream media who turned the other cheek when the Biden administration, because of their incompetence, left 13 service members dead in Afghanistan. And not a single person in the previous administration was held accountable for that botched withdrawal. Joe Biden said, in fact, it was a great operation.
Oh my God.
That is despicable.
Oh my
it's
God.
unacceptable to this president and this Secretary of Defense. The National Security Advisor has taken responsibility for this inadvertent number being added to the messaging thread. But above all, we take the lives of our troops, safety, security, prosperity around the globe with the utmost seriousness.
Bro, she fucking murdered her. She murdered her. She killed her. It's over. She murdered her. Yeah. Somehow they need to care more about the fact that a journalist's number got on a list of, you know, moderately sensitive information that didn't ultimately make any impact over fucking Biden and his administration literally causing the death of 13 people when they cleared out of Afghanistan. What are we talking about? Like, how are these even remotely on the same page? I mean, they're not, obviously. Oh my God, dude. She murdered her. And she's completely right. Stop lecturing me. You're journalists. Your job is to ask questions that I answer. Your job is not to literally lecture me on fucking war drama. Holy crap, she cooked them.
Do you believe
Jennifer,
that he
go ahead.
released that to embarrass the administration ahead of the worldwide threats?
Jennifer, go ahead.
Given what you've said about the president's trust in his national security team, can you say definitively that no one will lose their jobs?
Oh, that's a good question.
No one will lose their jobs.
I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't be upset if someone lost their job for this. Like, you have to recognize my stance here. A fuck up was made. Now, this isn't a fuck up on the level of the monumental fuck ups of Hillary with the emails or Biden with the running out of Iraq or literally any of that shit, which somehow the media didn't care about. But I think it really is important to recognize the insanity that is getting a reporter on a group chat like this. I think it was an absolute fuck up, but not as fucked up as these fucking reporters doing their shit.
At all because of this signal situation.
What I can say definitively is what I
Goldberg should lose his job, though, that's for sure.
just spoke to the president about, and he continues to have confidence in his national security team.
One more, can I ask one more, Karen? On the targets in Yemen on March 15th.
All right.
Can you say were 100% of the targets that were planned for March 15th, were they all destroyed? Because that would be an indication if some of them were moved or they were not all hit, that maybe perhaps some of the enemies were able to get some of the information in that.
Stop! No one got this information! What are you talking about? These people are evil! No one got this information because when Jeffrey Goldberg was first included onto that group chat with everyone else, he thought it was a joke until after it happened. He said it himself. He thought it was a joke until after it happened, and then he realized that it was a real chat of actual people. There was no information transmitted to the Houthi terrorists. She's making believe that if not every single one of their targets was actually destroyed, that must be because the Houthis got wind of this because of a leak? Oh my God, that is bad faith as fuck.
What I can say about the operation is what the Department of Defense has put out there. I would refer to them for any further operational details, but there have been
Wildly bad faith question.
more than 100 strikes conducted against Houthi targets, and they have hit key Houthi leaders, air defense systems, command and control nodes, headquarters, weapons manufacturing and storage facilities, and these are...
If this got leaked, bro, the leader of the Houthi terrorists would not be dead. So shut the fuck up.
Operations will continue until the freedom of navigation in our seas is restored and U.S. shipping can safely transmit without the fear of attack. And again, we believe that this has been a very successful operation thus far, and it will continue until this administration feels it no longer has to, and these terrorists have been taken out, which again is something the previous administration should have done, but they didn't, and now we've inherited this crisis. Stephen.
Thank you, Karoline. I'd like to clarify something about the investigation and also ask about some conservative commentary. On the investigation, Mike Waltz said last night that he had spoken to Elon Musk about figuring out how Jeffrey Goldberg's number got in his phone. You mentioned the NSC and the White House counsel's office investigating. Can you just clarify who is investigating, who's leading that, and also Dave Portnoy, who endorsed President Trump, said today that he thinks that Mike Waltz should leave. Could you respond to that?
Sure. Great respect for Dave Portnoy, but I just answered that previous question from Jennifer. As for your original question about who's looking into the messaging thread, the National Security Council, the White House counsel's office, and also, yes, Elon Musk's team. Elon Musk has offered to put his technical experts on this to figure out how this number was inadvertently added to the chat. Again, to take responsibility and ensure this can never happen again.
I have two questions. One on a follow-up on something you just said, but since we have these messages released and you said that the president has now personally reviewed them, at the chat at one point Pete Hegseth wrote 1415 strike drones on target, and in all caps he said this is when the first bombs will definitely drop. Does the president feel that he was misled by his national security advisor?
Oh my God, I hate it. This CNN bitch every single time. Does the president feel betrayed by his own people here? How is she supposed to know what Trump is feeling right now? How is she supposed to know? Is she an empath to that degree? Yes, I sense Trump feels ego and Trump feels betrayal. What do you want her to say? She just wants to get her message out in front of the people, and she's using Karoline's actual press briefing as a stage to get her fucking bullshit out there.
There's whoever it was that told him there was no classified information in there now that he's seen these messages.
No, his opinion has not changed. Shut the fuck up and please sit on your thumb and rotate.
I've been asked and answered this question 3 times by the both of you, and I've given you my answer. The president feels the same today as he did yesterday.
And on my follow-up on what you had just said.
Go ahead, Philip.
I have a
Caitlin, I'm not
enough of this.
taking your follow-up.
Woo! I'm not taking your follow-up. I agree. I think if your first question is bullshit that's been asked 12 times, I don't think they deserve the right to follow up. In fact, I'm a little harder on this in my opinion. I think they shouldn't be allowed back in to a press briefing next time. I think they have to sit out the next press briefing. I think that we should punish reporters. Not punish them with like the law or whatever, but you have to realize it is not a right to end up here and actually ask questions. It is a privilege to be in the White House asking these questions. So I think absolutely their privilege should be revoked. Every time that this happens, they should not be allowed back in for at least a week. I think that there should be repercussions to using this as a platform to spread your own propaganda and wasting time. I think absolutely. Fuck them. Let them suffer a little bit.
I have a follow-up on something you just said though, Caroline. That's
Caitlin,
regarding
I don't care.
taking your follow-up. Philip, go ahead. I've called up.
The vice president seems...
She says, I have a problem. I don't give a fuck that you have a problem. You're a reporter. You ask questions, you get answers. I don't give a shit about you.
to express some frustration that Europe wasn't doing more to police waterways in their backyard, noting in that signal thread that 40% of European trade goes through the Suez Canal. Does the president share that opinion and frustration? And then going forward, should the Europeans...
Remember when Biden banned Fox for asking questions about COVID?
...be responsible for policing that waterway?
Well, the president was asked this question yesterday by the pool in the cabinet room, and he answered this question. He said yes, he believes that Europe has been, as the vice president put it, freeloading on the backs of American taxpayers and off the backs of the United States of America, and he wants to ensure that Europe pays their fair share. He's always been very honest and upfront about that, and I think the vice president shares those concerns with him as well.
Well, I'll be honest. One thing that you have to say about these leaks, it just goes to show that everyone on Trump's team is actually working together, like, professionally behind the scenes. Like, they're people that get along, that work professionally, that see things through the same lens. Like, if anything, this is, that's pretty crazy. Hell yeah, dude.
Sure.
You know, enlisted soldiers, sailors, and Marines would face consequences if they shared this type of information inadvertently with a reporter. Can you tell us more why the president is so willing to give Mike Waltz a mulligan here?
Again, I have now been asked and answered this same question using different language multiple times. If anybody has another question, there's a lot of different things going on in the world. We have tariffs possibly being implemented later today. The president is going to talk about that at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for taking my question. I wanted to first and foremost thank the administration for the election integrity executive order, because so many journalists for 4 years were banned.
There we go. At least that's a new topic. Yeah. Yeah, that's that the illegal immigrants and that people need to show ID to vote.
And from talking about this very subject, so thank you to the administration for that. My question is, yesterday President Trump, when signing the order, said that there...
I don't know why no one's actually asking questions about the fact that there are people in Gaza, the Palestinians in Gaza are protesting Hamas right now because they hate Hamas and are blaming Hamas for their casualties. I don't know why no one wants to talk about when the terrorists are the bad guys. People only want to talk about when the terrorists are the victims. What is going on?
There's more to come when it comes to election integrity. Would that include same-day voting and hand-counted paper ballots? And why are Democrats so against election integrity measures like...
True! Fantastic question. There's no answer. It's because they want to steal the country.
Like, obviously, proof of citizenship when it comes to voting.
Proof of citizenship is basic bitch common sense. The reason why they don't want it is because they want to do this little thing called stealing the government. That's what they want to do. They want to import people that will vote illegally, but you can't actually ask them for ID so that they could steal the country. That's the plan.
In a United States election.
Well, it's a very good question. You'll have to ask the Democrats why they're against so many common sense things, not just mandating voter ID. Why are they against men and women's sports? Why are they against deporting foreign terrorists from American soil who have been designated a foreign terrorist organization? I'm referring to Tren de Aragua. As for the election integrity executive order that the president signed yesterday, this is in an effort to restore trust in American elections. There were more than 10 steps taken, 10 executive actions taken throughout this one order. It directs the department, or the attorney general rather, in Homeland Security to prevent non-citizens from any involvement in administering elections. There's also another host of actions. We can provide the fact sheet for you, but it's a very strong election integrity executive order, and the president would also like to see Congress do something about this very important issue. Sure, go ahead.
Karoline, the Republicans and Democrats alike have been expressing some concern about the frequency with which senior Trump officials have been using the Signal app.
Oh my god, you can't, dude. How is this room full of completely incompetent people?
Has there been discussion, or will there be a review about how often they use Signal, and if you could explain to us how they might be considering other applications to get away from something like this happening again?
Sure. Well, again, first of all, Signal has been an approved app for government use. It's an encrypted app, and as I said, it's the most safe and efficient way of communicating, especially when people can't be in a skiff or inside a room physically together. I think as the president...
No, all the journalists are just upset that this blue retard on the internet has more reach than any of they do. That's probably why they're upset, to be honest. Like, imagine being them. They need to go out there. They need to ask questions. They can't even beat this little blue retard on the internet. This guy, little anime-looking motherfucker. What can I say?
It said yesterday he wishes that everybody could be in the room, and it's our goal to ensure that everybody can be. But again, no classified information was discussed in this chat, and any time classified information is discussed amongst high-level officials across this administration, secure lines of communication are used, including, by the way, our special envoy, Steve Witkoff, who I understand the Wall Street Journal erroneously reported that he was on this Signal chat on a personal device while in Moscow. That is absolutely false. Steve did not have his personal device, nor did he have his government device with him. He was given a classified, protected server by the United States government, and he was very careful about his communications when he was in Russia. So rest assured to the American public, this administration is taking every precaution when it comes to protecting our national security, and that's why the American people re-elected this president, because they know that our national security is in good hands with the President of the United States. Speaking of the Vice President, I understand he's going to be speaking any moment now. I would hate to counter-program the Vice President of the United States. You'll also hear from the President at 3 o'clock. He will be honoring Women's History at the Women's History Month celebration. We have a lot of great women across our cabinet who will be in attendance, so we'll see you all there. And then you'll also hear from the President again at 4 o'clock when he talks about tariffs. So plenty of time for more questions. Sorry it's a bit shorter today, guys. We'll see you later.
That is mind-blowing. That is crazy. Holy shit. She just shut them down. No one was satisfied. She's just like, enough of this. Fuck this shit.
Michael Goldberg's number and Michael's phone if he's a registered Democrat and anti-Trump reporter.
Damn, that is crazy. She cooked those frauds. Brother. Holy shit. Yeah, anyway, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you guys. Hell yeah, dude. This was fun. I enjoyed it. A lot of retards today. Holy shit. Today was a good day. Today was a good day for retards. Retards out there everywhere, and we managed to have a fun time making fun of them. So thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you like retards getting blasted by this other retard. Retard on retard violence on the Nuxanor channel. Definitely subscribe to see reporters ask the same bullshit question 47 different times. I love these press briefings personally, because I think that the reporters are a consensus for what the brain-rotted 29% of Democrats that still think the Democratic Party is doing the right thing. I feel like that is exactly my favorite thing ever. Into the mind of the tard. And we'll see you in the next tard hunt. Stay weird, fam. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.